Hi, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of Life on the Edge podcast. In this episode, I speak to Neil McLoughlin, who is the UK Field CTO for Nerdio. And we have a discussion around the recent release of Windows 365 Cloud PC. And we also talk about the launch of Windows 365 PC. We also talk about how Nerdio can enhance your Windows 365 experience with their release around their Nerdio Manager release around Windows 365, and how you can then have a complete end-to-end solution with Nerdio, with Microsoft, and then iGel at the endpoint. I really hope you enjoy the episode. Feel free to send me any comments, and thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the fourth episode of Life on the Edge podcast. This month, I'm talking to Neil McLoughlin from Nerdio. Hi, Neil. Can you give us a quick intro?
Hi, James. Sure. So my name's Neil McLoughlin. I'm currently the UK Field CTO for Nerdio.
Cool. Thanks. So maybe, some people are viewing this probably know you quite well. So maybe just give yourself a brief, background about how you came to work in the EUC world.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I've been working in the EUC world probably for around 10 years now. So I've been in the IT industry for around 20 years. Started off doing normal desktop support, then started doing server support, and then fell into the EUC world as you normally do. And then I became the accidental Citrix admin. So I was doing Citrix support for a number of years. And then I moved into Citrix consultancy roles probably around 5 years ago, where I started to do sort of Citrix rollouts for sort of large financial customers and government departments within the UK. Did that for a number of years, and then this thing called Windows Virtual Desktop appeared around 2 years ago now. Yeah, don't know what that
you
is.
Mean AVD?
AVD. But then it was Windows Virtual Desktop.
Yes.
So yeah, Windows Virtual Desktop appeared. That was sort of very cloud-based and EUC focused, and I was like, I want a bit of that. So I started to sort of focus my efforts on that because I saw it as kind of, well, this is going to have a very bright future, because from what I saw of it, it was a very, very good product indeed. So on the back of all this sort of blogging and stuff that I was doing with community work on that, I got a role at a company called New Signature as a Windows Virtual Desktop architect. And stayed there for a year, did a few deployments with sort of Windows Virtual Desktop, which is now Azure Virtual Desktop. And then also at the same time started doing lots of community work, sort of again blogging, doing podcasts, all that kind of stuff. On the back of that, got my MVP.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I got approached by Nerdio. I'd always been a big fan of Nerdio. I was very public that I was a big fan of Nerdio because it solved a lot of the problems that I was having as a consultant trying to implement Azure Virtual Desktop. They were looking for someone to branch out into the UK. Obviously, we already had Baz in EMEA, and they wanted someone with a focus on the UK. They approached me, and I was like, why not? It sounds like a really, really great opportunity. So here I am today. So that was around 5 months ago now. So.
Wow, So still relatively new to the role then.
Yeah, still trying to get my feet stuck in. It's a very different role. Obviously, I'm used to sort of a consultancy background, so my day-to-day used to involve sort of writing designs and rolling out infrastructures and meetings all day with project managers and that kind of stuff. Whereas essentially, because Nerdio is still sort of quite a small company, we essentially still a startup. So my role today is very, very different. It's a bit of everything. You could say we get stuck in and do everything we can do to make the company successful. So.
Absolutely, yeah, that's cool. And are you like me? You've yet to meet your colleagues in person?
Yeah, I've not met them. Unfortunately, it's all been remote, so I am the only person in the UK. So
I'm the only person in Ireland. So
I've got no one. I've got no one to meet. Obviously, there's my colleague Bas van Kam in the Netherlands. But I've met him previously, obviously outside of Nerdio. But no, we had our first company physical offsite 2 weeks ago. But obviously we couldn't be there because of travel restrictions. So
sure.
Hopefully I'll be able to fly over to the States soon to meet all my colleagues. But,
cool.
Who knows?
So the big thing, obviously, in our world has obviously been the launch of Windows 365 Cloud PC. It's, I think, as James Rankin said, you've been living under a rock if you haven't heard about this. In James's usual fashion, as we both know.
Yep.
So, for those maybe who haven't heard, can you obviously this is the next arm of AVD. So can you give a brief description of what is Cloud PC?
Absolutely. So Cloud PC is the new service offering from Microsoft. It's a persistent desktop on a subscription base. So it's a one-to-one mapping of a user. So it's all, if you go for the enterprise version, for example, it's all managed by Microsoft Endpoint Manager. So it's purely 100% sort of cloud-based, obviously. The main difference between sort of Azure Virtual Desktop and sort of Cloud PC or Microsoft 365, if you want to call it, is everything's looked after by Microsoft apart from the networking. Okay, so it sits within Microsoft subscription. So they look after the compute for you and they look after the storage for you. So it's really, really simple compared to Azure Virtual Desktop, for example. So really, really easy to and quick to deploy. So if you want something really simple, subscription based, fixed price cost, it's a nice solution to look at.
Very good. Yeah, it's a solution we've all kind of been waiting for. But in some ways, like, I was just trying to think where it fits in what we've got so far. And it's, if you take away the subscription, it's kind of what Citrix and VMware have been doing for quite a while, in that, hosting apps or desktops. Now, obviously it's a one-to-one ratio, so that's the differentiator, I suppose. But it's kind of a, we're all used to kind of multi-user hosts, whereas this is kind of essentially taking a PC and putting it in the cloud. So it's a different approach that Microsoft have taken opposed to other vendors. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's to be managed the same as you would manage a physical PC. Okay, yeah. As you mentioned, me and you, we're so used to image management. That's how we manage our images on our sort of VDI multi-session capability. Cloud PC is meant to be managed the same as you would do as a physical device. I think the Microsoft play on this is you would manage this the same as you would manage any other image in your environment, right? So obviously, as you know, when you walk into any sort of project, there's normally a VDI team and there's a physical team, right? Separate images, separate teams, different skill sets. The advantage that this brings for me personally, enterprises, is there is no separation anymore. I don't care if you're a physical device. I don't care if you're a virtual device. It's all managed by that one central pane of glass, which is going to be a Microsoft Endpoint Manager / Intune. So that's the huge benefit that I see for customers out there.
Well, that's good. And obviously, along with Cloud PC, Nerdio were pretty active during that, and you guys made some announcements around that. Can you elaborate a bit more on what those announcements that you guys made?
Absolutely. So we've always worked very closely with Microsoft. We were closely with the Microsoft engineering team. So we've been working with them for about 6 months now. And we've actually released Cloud PC or Microsoft 365 into our products from day one. So we recently released Nerdio Manager for Enterprise version 3.0. That's a rename due to the AVD, and also to highlight the integration with Microsoft 365 as well. So using Nerdio, you can deploy Azure Virtual Desktop and Cloud PC from a single pane of glass, essentially. We're going to let you use the same images. So you can create your images within Nerdio and use those images to deploy on Cloud PC or Azure Virtual Desktop as well. So just taking away, again, those different complexities.
The different complexities, which is obviously, a complaint most people have made about EUC over the years, is the level of complexity that we have in EUC.
Yep.
Are you able to give us a demo?
I can indeed. So let me share my screen and I'll show you the magic that we've been working on.
Excellent.
Okay.
As we know, Alex is probably going to watch this and scream as he sees this on YouTube that we're doing a live demo.
Yeah, probably. Let's have a look. 1 second. Okay. So, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm going to share.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go.
So,
yes.
Okay, good. So what you have here is our Nerdio dashboard. Okay, so in here we've added this Windows 365, so that's the official product release name. Okay,
sure.
So essentially, what we can do within here, we can fully manage the Cloud PC experience. For those who don't know, essentially most of it is controlled by what you call provisioning policy, right? So that's basically set criteria to basically say, what criteria do I need to meet to have a Cloud PC? Okay. So within this provision policy, you can create one within Nerdio. Yep. So all we need to do in there, create a name, description, select our image. So this can be a Nerdio created image, or it can be a custom image that you've uploaded to Azure, or it could be one of the default Azure SKUs that you have by default. Okay. Yep. So once we've selected that, we have a network connection. So that's the connection back to our VNet, right? Which has the sort of domain connectivity to do the AD join and connect to your resources and that kind of stuff as well. Okay, because you need to create that network connection as well.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, and our AD group assignments, right? And essentially, that's just the AD group that you need to add people in to start that provisioning process. And essentially, that's a lot, most of the bits which are to it. So once you've got all those things configured, all you literally have to do is drop someone into the AD group and it will start provisioning a VM for them, okay?
Right.
And assign that VM to them. And then from Nerdio console, we can go in here and we can do basic stuff like restart the desktop if you want to, or we can reprovision it as well if that desktop needs reprovisioning or rebuilding, okay? And then obviously we can create the network connection that we need as well to go back to VM. So,
oh, very good. So, as we were talking about, you're simplifying the whole provisioning process.
Absolutely, and the good thing is here as well, customers can easily flick to and from AVD and sort of Microsoft 365 as well. So
you can manage both via this dashboard.
Correct.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, so I can literally just go into here, and if I want to manage my AVD, I can just go into that and manage all that from there as well. So very, very powerful. Something we're really happy, works really well. So
excellent. That's cool. That's really powerful. The whole thing, obviously, about this one console, it's kind of the thing that we're always striving for. And it seems like, you're able to switch between AVD and Windows 365 almost seamlessly.
Absolutely. Yep.
Cool. Well, that's cool. Thanks for the demo, Neil.
Not a problem.
So obviously we've talked about Windows 365 Cloud PC. We've talked about Nerdio Manager. Obviously that leaves the endpoint where obviously IGEL comes. Yep. So I think from my point of view, and I think from IGEL is we see this as a big plus for us with Cloud PC, because obviously it needs to run on an endpoint, and we're seeing numerous different articles coming on about, like just this morning I read one about some vulnerability in Windows 10 as on the endpoint, and obviously the whole point of it is the simplified experience. So it makes sense from my point of view that IGEL or will be running on the endpoint, because it's a read-only operating system, it's a lower attack surface, can all be centrally managed. And I think that's, I see a holistic solution where you've got Nerdio, you've got Microsoft, and then you have IGEL on the endpoint. And that's why, our two companies have been talking and that kind of thing. So just maybe get your views quickly on where you see it in terms of the endpoints and that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think where we're at the moment is quite an amazing place. If you just wind back just a few years, obviously we can provision the endpoints for speed with using IGEL. We can provision the desktops in the cloud easily using Microsoft 365 and Nerdio. I mean, if you think about the the power of that. I mean, we can literally, I mean, you've heard many stories since the pandemic. We can provision tens of thousands of desktops and have a remote workforce, ship a load of ideal devices or USBs devices out to them, have them boot them up from their home PC or whatever, connecting to that secure environment with the desktops provisioned by Nerdio. And then if you look at this new added capability, for example, like Microsoft Endpoint Manager / Intune integration, and we can add an extra layer of security on top of that as well, have some security policies applied. So all the way through that whole process, we've got a couple of factors which are all common. It's quick, it's easy, and it's secure.
Yeah. So simple and secure, as simple, we say at ITIL.
Secure. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as I said, just wind back a few years.
Absolutely,
where we are now, and it's like, wow.
No, it is. It's amazing to kind of see the level of innovation that we've seen as a result of the pandemic, and you know, people just having to redefine how we all work, and because obviously, you know, there's had to be mass provisioning of people. Just, you know, we've heard stories from mad stories like, you know, PCs were put in the back of cars and stuff like that, and then obviously after a couple of weeks they were all domain joined, couldn't talk to the domain and just stopped working and all this kind of thing. We've had stories where, you know, I know of one case where we had a customer in healthcare in the US. They got attacked by ransomware. We sent them out several hundred UD pockets, and they got back up and running straight away because, you know, as I was saying to someone the other day, you know, you can run a UD pocket on a laptop that doesn't even have a hard drive.
And
so,
I'd love to see those ransomware attackers hit a VDI environment, because it'll be like, I don't care, because guess what? I'm just going to revision all my desktops. There you go. I buy ransomware. So
exactly. You know, we are finding ways to get around that. But so yeah, well, that's been really useful, Neil. So thank you very much for your time.
Not a problem.
And you know, I think Nerdio and Nigel are going to do some interesting things together. Definitely. So I think people should watch this space, because there will definitely be more stuff coming up. I know. And thanks very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.
Cool.